How do you do too much for others? Is it possible to do too much for others? Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast, 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. Often when coaching leaders, one of the challenges that I find is that in their organization, there are people who are always demanding a raise. They want a little more paycheck. They want a little more time off. They want a little more benefits. In fact, it's what unions were for, is to make sure that employees who work for an organization get compensated for the amount of work that they do. That they're not taken advantage of. They're not asked to work too many hours and get paid too little money for their time. And it is altogether possible to be taken advantage of, especially by an employer. But employers have the counterbalanced problem, and that is, it's really hard to get some employees just to show up for work, much less to show up and do the tasks that they're assigned to with a good attitude. I mean, now you're really stretching. I mean, to show up on time and have a good attitude and actually do the work I'm supposed to do. Wow, how much overload is that? Leaders have a hard time when they realize I'm where I am because I've been driven and passionate, and I show up early and I stay late and I do more than is expected of me, and then I look around me and no one else is doing that. And it's frustrating as a leader to realize that the team that you're trying to lead doesn't keep up with the same pace. They don't work as hard as you do. They don't invest as much as you do. So how do you do too much? How do you say no? How do you stop when you've given 9 times more than everybody else on the team? The answer is you don't. You don't stop. You don't let up. When you're pushing the progress, when you're setting the bar, when you are the standard of excellence that you expect in your team, you will find those who, like a vacuum created by good leadership, will fall in and follow you. They will join you in that extra mile of effort. My friend Glenn Morshower does an entire program called Going the Extra Mile, where he talks about doing more than is expected of you. And it's not just about your job. It's not just about, well, they paid me to work 40 hours a week. Sometimes I work 42 or 43. It's about, while you're doing the tasks that you're assigned to do, that you're giving it everything you have. You're not kind of taking care of the customer and kind of checking your social media on your phone at the same time. You're not kind of doing your research and kind of having a conversation with your mom. Because while those all tend to happen in the course of human life, we try to multitask. Dr. Caroline Leaf says multitasking is a myth. We might actually think we're doing more than one thing at a time, but the truth of the matter is, when we take 2 different things, especially when they're different emotional things as well as different physical tasks, we are not effectively doing 2 things at once. We're ineffectively doing 2 things at once. If we were focused on a thing, we might be a 9 or a 10 at it. But when we add that something else in it, there's no way to be 2 9s. So you get a 4.5 on each, which means the best you can do when you're multitasking is half effort. So if you're multitasking by having a conversation on the phone and working on a spreadsheet, you're only giving half of your attention to each of those. And if you think I'm kidding, the next time you're doing that, ask the person on the phone if they can tell that you're not focused on them, but you're actually trying to do work at the same time. And the answer will be yes. How do I know that? Because you know that. You know that when you're having a conversation with someone who's also trying to do something else, even if you're standing face to face and they're trying to reply to a text, if their eyes are down here, they're thinking what they're typing and what they're reading, and they're not listening to you. When I see people doing that, I just stop talking. I wait till they finish sending their text, and then I start talking again. Is it possible to do too much for others? Let me finish with this quote that I read today, and I'm not even sure who put it out there, but I think it's solid. It says success is when you do all that you can for yourself. Significance is when you do the same thing for the benefit of others. Success is when you do all that you can for yourself. Significance is when you do the same thing for others. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.